We will collect things because we love them, not because we thought, oh, that will fit in that spot in the house. I'm always saying to clients, if you love it, buy it. You will find somewhere to put it. We collected things we love, and then we will find a spot for them. And sometimes we'll come across something and we'll say, that is fantastic, we've got to have it. And then Mike will say, where are you going to put it? Or likewise, he with one of his paintings will say, I've got to have it. I said, we haven't got an inch of wall anywhere. And we'll come home and we'll move things around and we will find a space for it. And I think that is what antiques is all about. Let's go through to the other room and wander through a bit, and we'll have a look at a few pieces of furniture and sculpture and paintings to see how they can all work so well together in a period house. I always say that pieces can work together in a house that's old or new, and the pieces can be modern or old. For example, here we have a very, very lovely chair from Scandinavia, 18th century, hewn out of a tree trunk, and with its old paint finish on it. And above it we have an oil painting by a man called Bernard Orange, who is French, and it is of Edith Piaf in a motorcycle helmet. It's one of his favourite paintings, and I think the contrast is really quite stunning. It really does work very well in this setting. And if we go through into this room, you'll find fabulous pieces of Burr wood, 18th century country furniture. This is also French, 18th century, which absolutely glows. It looks like treacle and butter and honey all mixed in together. Absolutely fantastic piece of timber this is. You just don't go out and buy something because you've got a spot that needs something. You buy something because you're passionate about it, and then you bring it home, and half the fun is saying, now, where would that look great? The contrast of the bronze with the sycamore looks wonderful. The modern painting above the 18th century oak table looks great next to another piece of modern sculpture. I think people have to be bold. They mustn't be frightened. People are so frightened today of colour and shape and form. And I think the thing that makes things work in a home is going for what you love, what you like. And I always try and encourage our clients, say, if you love a particular thing, go for it, and we'll help you work in the rest. So this is really how we live, and it's how we try to tell our clients how they should live as well, if they want to, and if they feel so inclined. We've got a lovely collection of reasonably recent decoy birds, which are quite lovely. Terribly sculptural, beautifully, beautifully carved. And a collection like this is really very, very special for us. We just love it.
Well, maybe you'd like to come and see some of this more formal stuff, just which is the sort of staple part of our actual business, rather than just our personal predilection for furniture. Perhaps we'd like to go and start by looking at a bit of late 18th century furniture, maybe show a bit of walnut or something from the 17th century a bit later on. Right, well, perhaps you'd like to just have a look at a really stunning, really excellent pair of 18th century English chairs, which date from 1770s, 1775. They're sort of Adam Hepplewhite in style. The most beautiful oval backs that you can see. That not only is it an oval in this plane, but the thing is completely shaped. It's a magnificently made piece of furniture, and it's compounded, its beauty and its elegance, by this absolutely magnificent carving here on the arm support. and following round and down into the leg and the little French toes at the bottom. These are magnificent. They're the best I've ever handled, and we really sort of like to think of them. They're not really pure Hepplewhite. They're so broad and so welcoming. I like to think they're probably more Adam than pure Hepplewhite. So this is the sort of quality that we're looking for. And you've noticed over there we have an ensuite games table, which is the same period, and that's the most beautiful timber you'll ever find, as indeed are these chairs. Now these are the sort of things, that the quality which we're looking for in our business. It enables us, for example, to take part in the best antique shows in the UK, including the BADA show, LA PADA show, and the Olympias. And it means obviously these things are also subject to vetting and control. So we have to be very sure that what we have is very pure, not only in its concept, its drawing, but in its actual physical state. So we look for things of great quality and style that require minimal restoration. I think that's you know, a fundamental criterion. I'm not interested in buying wrecks and you know, resurrecting them for the market. Well, this is a period which interests us greatly, and this is the period of English walnut. This particular piece is called a full front escritoire and dates from about 1690. That's William and Mary. So the thing is, as you can see, is it's a typical form. It's a full front. It's really got an interesting interior. It's a nice surprise when you open it. It's very functional. These very heavy mouldings are classically Dutch and classically of that period. This very, very rounded, this is actually a drawer, in fact, if I could just show you. It's a plan drawer, or a drawer for documents, or for estate. Right, now the interior of this is quite a typical interior. This piece of furniture is usually constructed in exactly this way. It has some quite interesting features. I'll just show you one of them. This is a sort of pigeonhole, but it's removable, and behind it there are some secret drawers. Now these are beautifully made, dovetailed front and back. They're just plain dry oak. It's exactly what you want to see. Really lovely dry old stuff. Smells good. Nothing wrong with that. Absolutely of the period, as indeed are the pigeonholes. Beautiful. Everybody likes it. It's easy to live with. It's comfortable. It's warm. It's welcoming, and it's endearing in its presence. So we try very hard to hold a few pieces. Of course, we're talking 1690 here. They're not exactly littering the countryside. So you maybe have one or two of these a year, and maybe some other things like good bureaus and lowboys made in the same sort of timber with the same sort of veneer. But it's a smashing piece of furniture. I love it, and I'm sure it'll find a very good home quite quickly. These are very interesting because these fall very definitely into the area of in a sense, pure decoration, because they're almost theatrical. They're in fact a pair of thrones, and they come from Italy, and they're probably made around about 1840. These finials, which you can see are Gothic, fit just to the right and left of this Gothic cresting roll on the top, and it gives it a lot of height and flair when you put them on. They're really nice things. I have to say, we're honestly not quite sure what their function was, but they're certainly not religious. They've obviously come from a good house somewhere or a military establishment. If you look at the sides, if we get the chance a bit later on, if you can see anything in this wonderful arrangement, you'll see that they're beautifully carved rose windows.
The most important thing for us was sourcing the goods. It wasn't selling the goods. The goods were selling themselves in the 90s when things were very, very good, and if you had the right piece of furniture, you could sell it very, very easily. So we decided that we would spend more time looking for the right pieces, and that we would spend more time at home and more time concentrating on sourcing pieces for our clients. We had the opportunity to build this very lovely barn, and so having got the planning permission, we decided to go ahead and make it into a showroom, which, although it isn't open to the public as on a regular basis, our clients who we meet at all the fairs and exhibitions that we go to can come and see us here and look at the pieces that they've either seen on our website, or they have seen at the fairs, or pieces that they haven't seen at the fairs that we've told them about that we have down here on the farm. So basically, that's how we operate the business. We like to buy pieces which are as original as possible. That's to say, there's been very little work or restoration done to them over the years, which is very difficult, bearing in mind we like to buy 18th century pieces and earlier, which are our predilection, although there are a lot of later pieces we find are equally as lovely and beautiful. I don't think you have to buy any particular period. It's whether or not a piece is the best of its type. That's the most important thing as far as we're concerned. Now, this is a very rare piece of English Regency furniture. It's a music stand, as you can see, and it's beautifully decorated and painted. And it has legs in the form of horns, which is very American in feel. But in fact, I think this piece was more likely to have come from the Regency Palace in Brighton. It's the colour of the paint, the way it's made, is typical of the sort of pieces you would expect to find there. What's very unusual about it, this closes up, and then you open it up to put your sheet music in, and then here you have these side pieces which come down for large sheet music. So you've got two sizes of sheet music you can have on this piece of furniture. It's beautifully painted, just as you would expect it to be, in the colours you expect from that period. It's a lovely piece of furniture, and as I said, very rare and very sought after. People like to come and look in this barn here, because it's where we originally kept all our furniture before we were able to build the Millennium Barn, as we call it. And now it is piled high with all the country furniture, because we don't like to mix the country furniture with the formal furniture. So it's piled high with some very, very lovely and some very interesting pieces of furniture which date from 17th century right through the 20th century. And most of these pieces are country pieces, painted pieces, folk art pieces, similar things to those pieces we have in our own home. And it's the sort of place that you can come and rummage around and find things that perhaps you weren't expecting to find. For example, we have a lovely 17th century wainscot chair in beautifully carved oak, lovely and original. Then you have a marriage chest from the Austrian mountains, a Swedish painted cupboard next to it. You have an English Delft rack, painted in a lovely old blue paint. So I'm quite fond of this little area. It's a little bit of a mess, but it's actually a very organised mess. So hopefully this is the place where a lot of our clients love to come and rummage around and find something that they can take home and find a home for. We put up this pergola here, which is rather nice, to carry the wisteria and the roses, and also to give us a little bit more shade in the summer. We have gone for texture and colour because I feel that the garden should be an extension of the house, and you should be able to come out here and feel as at home outside as you do inside. We've built a couple of ponds. Here is a very lovely pond here, which is a breeding duck pond.
We put this in 87. This is a proper ecological English pond. We have quite a tradition in this family of zoologists and biologists, and Helen's son Mark and myself put this together. He designed the pond and the shelves and things, and I did the wildflower planting because I know something about that. But it's been going now since 87. It's brilliant. We stocked it with rudd because we have visiting heron and visiting kingfisher, and you know, we really just put the fish. They rudd, of course, breed profusely, and there are hundreds of them, so it doesn't matter. And I'd rather see the kingfishers and the herons, as indeed would Helen.